Today we're just going to be unboxing and building the M4 Smith machine. I have my utility knife and we're gonna cut open each box, lay them out, and begin the building process. Opening the box is about 50 minutes plus sorting everything out. And when you do open the box, make sure you do not remove the plastic coverings because that is where the labels are for what part number it is, and if you do that, you will definitely have a hard time putting this thing together. The wrench that came with the box, it's very thin. I don't like these. If you have access to some tools, definitely use that instead. It's only 11/16 of an inch. For the first step, I've laid out the main pieces on the floor, and now I just have to get the proper screws and fasten them together. We have completed step number 1, and if you are missing F2 from the step here, it's actually in another bag with part number C2. That's gonna be on step 3. Don't worry about it. We can just attach that together, but we're gonna now move on to step number 2. Make sure when you're installing the aluminum portion that these two hooks are facing out and this part is facing in, as well as the smaller holes on the aluminum bar here. And make sure before you screw the bolts in, make sure this is actually on there because the top has the wheels and this is not gonna come from the top end, it's gonna go in from the bottom up. And then for the back pieces, it's pretty straightforward. Just don't tighten the bottom bolts before you get this angled piece in, or else you won't be able to fit it into the slot properly. And that's gonna be it. So we're gonna move on to step number 3 now. B7 and C2. Remember, it comes with that piece from step 1, F2, which is this long piece. So I'm gonna put that on, and if I run into any difficulties, I will tell you after. These are pretty straightforward. The 2 red pulleys. I already tying up the bolts here. Don't make it too tight or else it won't be able to, swing back and forth. Okay, we finished step number 3. We're gonna move on to step number 4, which is gonna be the top portion of this machine. The first part of step 4 is to attach this piece onto here, and it just clicks in. If you tighten the bottom piece for this, make sure you make it loose a bit so that it can be able to move freely before we get everything else together. The second part of step 4 is to get, the long curve washer and the flat bolt. And then you have this piece, which is the A10, and it goes in between and you tighten it up with the bolt. So I'm gonna do that and we can move on. For the part where you have to install the red pull-up bar, you will need somebody to hold this for you, but if you don't, you can always get a step ladder. Okay, stand up, and while holding one of the bolts, and this is gonna take a minute, from the back end, you position it through, and you can quickly screw in one side to give you a little bit of leverage here. And I should have gotten the other bolt, but that's fine. As long as that is in, you can then go ahead and do the other side. Again, this is for leverage. Now it's in there. Everything is good. And you can then get the rest of the bolts and hand screw them in just to make sure it is secure. Okay, so we're gonna move on to step 5 now. And this is the perfect time if you haven't really decided where you want your cage system to go. I've moved to the corner, realizing that I need some extra space when doing the chest fly. So while it's still light, go ahead and move it to the position that you want it to be in your garage or basement. And we'll continue to step 5. I think we're just adding some hooks to this top here and then something else up here. So let me go ahead and get that and show you what it looks like when that is on the top rack. So you're just installing these that are gonna be holding the weighted plates. And it's pretty simple, screw in the washer. There's an Allen key here for you to screw in. And I am using a step ladder because I am pretty short. There we go. So step 5 is completed. We installed 3 racks for the weighted plates and then the handles for our attachment, plus this little thing here. I'm not sure what that is for, but I'll figure out when we're done. We're gonna move on to step 6 now. So let me see. Okay, so first we're going to install these triangular pieces at the bottom, and then there is another set at the top that is going to hold the A5 piece, the really long one. Once you have that in there, do not tighten the bolt, but just make sure that it is in there and screwed on a little bit. And once you do have that, we're then going to install the middle section, A9. If you make the bolts too tight, you will have difficulty shimmying it up in place, so just keep that in mind. And that's about it for this step. Just finished step number 6, and that was to fasten this pole here. When you're doing this, make sure you don't tighten the bolt, because you are going to have to also put this piece in between, and if it's too tight, you're going to have difficulties wedging this through there. Fastening it is pretty straightforward, and yeah, we're going to move on to step number 7 here. I think we're going to put stuff on the inside. Oh, and by the way, you want the bigger holes on the inside. There's going to be things that go through here. So, and I think that is the next step. So let's go ahead and do that. For step 7, we're going to have to insert these rings right into the bottom here. And I accidentally put a screw through that already. So I'm going to unscrew that and put it in there. And then these little hooks, well, they're going to go into here. And that's about it for step 7. So let me do that and we'll move on to step number 8. We just completed step number 7. That was to add this wheel at the bottom, plus 10 of these pegs on each side. And now we're gonna move on to step number 8. For this step, you're first gonna place the 2 rubber stoppers over the hole. Then you're gonna place that piece B5 above it. And then you're finally going to place the metal rod through it, making sure that the top of the metal rod, there is a hole that you will be screwing in. If you do that wrong, then you will have to turn it around and just put it back in. But from here on out, you just have to tighten these 2 bolts and you are good to go. We just added step number 8. That's completed. Adding the pulley system for the weights. Obviously make sure that the pulley's at the top, or else you have to redo it, because this is a curved part. And also the top of this bar, there's a hole on one end. Make sure that hole is at the top side so you can screw this in. And then there's the plastic stopper at the bottom in case you decide to drop the weight. And that's it. Oh yeah, there's a screw here for you to tighten, so make sure you tighten that so that you don't forget, right, when you're using this thing. And now we're gonna move on to step number 9. Okay, so for here, we have this extra rack we need to put in, and the screw should already be there from the first step that we did. I went ahead and I added a nut and a bolt when I moved this whole machine, just to make things easy. And that's it, I guess, for this part of the step. The second part of this step is to attach these footrests. Again, the bolt should already be in place from step 1. And you just have to put this in. Oops, there we go. You get this little part here, and it goes in there. All right, so for step 9, we install this extra rack here for the weights in the back. This footrest over here for seated rows, and then this landmine handle up here. Just make sure the knob is facing up and you'll be good to go. Okay, step 10, we're installing the bars through here. I think this is for the Smith machine, or the Smith portion of this machine. So let's go ahead and get those 2 very heavy rods and the associated parts for that. So for this step, you're gonna go this metal pole, right? It's the heavy one. Make sure that the screw is at the top, and starting from the bottom, you're gonna put the plastic gasket on, probably this way. Get one of these hooks facing down. Now there's 2 of these. Make sure the one you put it on is like gonna curve in, because that's where it's gonna hook each time you do a squat or whatever movement you're doing here. In this case, I'm on the right side, so gonna goes down, followed by another plastic gasket. And then finally, the hook, these are the same identical, so it doesn't matter which one of these you pick. And it's pretty cool how it just slides into there. And then pulling this all up, we're gonna set it in to the bottom. And at the top, there should be a screw there. And that's where you're gonna screw it in. And as you can see, we have a screw here going into this. This is step 10 completed. We installed the metal rail. This is gonna be for the Smith portion of the machine, as well as the hook over here. Make sure you install it the right way so that the hook is gonna face down and hook onto these rods sticking out. And then also this is gonna be for the Smith bar connecting the two over here. So I'm gonna put it on the same height so that I can make it easy for me to install and move on to step 11, which is going to be putting up, like I said before, the actual Smith bar between the two rails. So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, first you're going to position this black piece B5 through the Smith portion. Use the hook to have it hold itself up. Once you have it in place, you're gonna then get that small piece C9, position it at the end of the Smith bar, right? Like going through it. Make sure you screw it on, but don't make it tight because you are gonna have to do the other side too. And once you have that on, you're finally gonna put on the D1 piece. That's the aluminum piece, the really shiny one, over. And once you have that in there, just screw it in and you are good to go. Go ahead and do it on the other side and then just finish up and tighten all bolts and you're done.
So this is step 11 completed. Again, the bar for the Smith portion of the machine. I hooked it on first before attempting to put on the other pieces. That way it'll just stay stable. Make sure you do that. And from there, it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna move on to step 12 now. I think we're almost done because there's only 2 pages left here. Oh wait, what? 1 page left. So yeah, this is the last step. And I think it's the rope. Yep, the rope, and then an additional step for the leg portion of the lat pull down. Yeah, so let's go ahead and install the rope and we will practically be done. So we are installing the cable. So just unwind it all the way to wherever. You're gonna start over here, top, bring it all the way up, top here. I'm gonna follow this. Watch your head, by the way, if you have this all the way at the top. Okay, here's the cable. Coming up through this top one here. And then there's a hole right over here. You bring it down through. See? Then at the bottom of this, round and grab it. It's gonna be a little bit finicky, but that's okay. And you're gonna pull it up through the same hole, then up through this pulley and through this pulley again, and then comes all the way down. All the way, just pull it. Coming down. And if your string gets stuck, that means that you need to unwind it and untwist it. But so far so good. You see the string comes all the way down, down and down and down, and at the very bottom, if you can see me, that's great. There's a pulley here. It's gonna come all the way across through the bottom. Oh man. And mine got stuck because, like I said, you have to untwist it. There you go. And then it comes down to the last pulley on to the side, and then it comes all the way up from here. You see this? Comes all the way down and then all the way up and up. And at the top here, there's a little Allen screw. You're gonna pull the string from the bottom, but first you have to loosen it a little bit to allow the cable to pass through. And I need to use this Allen key to do that. Once it's there, looks good. You just pull it through. And you are good to go, my friend. Lucky for you, this is pretty much the last step. So if you have not already, I need you to check every single pulley and make sure that it is tight. Also, make sure this is tight too, and do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's nice and tight. Perfect. Because your life might depend on the tightness of this boat. So lift with care, like I always say, and always be safe. Okay, that's tight. Check both of the bolts, make sure they're both tight, and then grab your wrench and make sure that each bolt on the pulley is nice and tight. On here, up there, all of them. Make sure they are all tight. And when you do that, you'll be done. And the rest of the equipment laying around is only accessory. And I can show you how to do that in the next step here, okay? That was the last step. We have the cables installed and we are done. These are the extra parts laying around. They are just accessories. The red thing is your safety bar. You have extra storage here. You get 2 of these to be able to do dips from. And also, if you're doing free weights, this is going to hold. Which side is this? Okay. Well, it'll be at the other side, but this is gonna hold your barbell that you're working on. So I'm gonna take that out. But yeah, and then the final piece, the leg hold down. So when you're doing like lat pull down and you have a bench right over here, this is gonna go on your legs to keep your legs from coming up, which is gonna be nice. But other than that, the rest of the stuff, I have it all there. Attachments, cool stuff. Make sure you check out the review video. I'm gonna show some exercises in that if you haven't already watched that. I don't know which is gonna go up first. And keep a lookout for other exercise videos I'm gonna be doing using this equipment. And until then, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this and found it useful. And also subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in my next video. So yeah, this is sturdy. Very sturdy. And watch your head when you're using this. I am 5'8", and I've hit my head a few times walking back and forth, so keep an eye out when you're using this, of course. And anyways, I'll see you later.